Nintendo could have the greatest Game Pass competitor of all time. Okay, I know I'm beating a dead horse here because who hasn't bitched and moaned about Nintendo Switch Online in like the last 5 years? Well, I'm here to bitch and moan about it more. I firmly believe in my Nintendo-obsessed heart that if Nintendo ever gets its act together, it could have the best catalog for video games of all time. Better than PlayStation Plus because that's not much of a challenge, but also even better than Game Pass itself. Nintendo has the best gaming library of all time, and yes, I know it's missing huge titles from other platforms, but from the perspective of age, quantity, and quality, Nintendo's library can't be beat. PlayStation, Xbox, and PC will never have Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Kirby, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Wii Sports, and Donkey Kong, and all those series have a plethora of titles, main series, and spin-offs that will always belong on Nintendo consoles. Nintendo has such a rich history in video games, dating back well over 40 years, longer than any other console maker around today. So why the heck aren't they putting it to use? Why are they letting secondhand markets run amok? Why is piracy the cheapest and most convenient solution? Nintendo doesn't see any of that secondhand market money, and many pirates would prefer much more convenient solutions to accessing classic titles. Nintendo sees zero profit from both avenues. Again, I ask, what are they doing? Nintendo fans are constantly begging for remakes, remasters, sequels, and retro collections, and Nintendo actually said in their last investor meeting that it is realistically difficult to develop new titles, remakes, including sequels, for every Nintendo game that people request. If only there were some kind of a solution, a middle ground for fans who want to see their favorite titles revived on Nintendo's greatest console ever. I mean, the Nintendo Switch is basically that. It's an amalgamation of everything great from every single one of their previous consoles and handhelds. So why doesn't it have a library that represents that achievement? A Smash Ultimate of video game libraries. Let's take a look at the state of things on Nintendo Switch Online right now. It's more or less like PS Plus and Game Pass. You get access to online gaming along with a collection of games to play at no extra charge. Like PS Plus and Game Pass, there are different price points that offer different things. The biggest difference is that PS Plus and Game Pass offer video games from across their long histories of gaming. PS Plus leans a little on the side of older titles, and Game Pass leans into the newer content. Nintendo Switch Online has two vast libraries of NES and SNES games, and they have a few N64 games as well. And I mean, it's fine, I guess. I pay 1/8 of the Family Plan expansion pack, which is much cheaper than Game Pass and PS Plus, but I would pay so much more for something so much better, wouldn't you? So, what if Nintendo's entire library of gaming was available on NSO? Let's take a step back and pretend that this is something Nintendo would do. Let's pretend Nintendo cares about its fans and its history, and let's pretend Nintendo wants to give us access to everything. I want to go through everything I believe should be included, so let's take a trip through every possibility for Nintendo's dream, pie in the sky, will never happen ever, Game Pass competitor. The vast majority of Nintendo's first-party catalog is already on NSO, thankfully. My issue is not so much with the selection, but the fact it took 5 years to get here. Earthbound should not have taken as long as it did, nor should it have been added with that much fanfare. This isn't a knock at the game itself, it's a classic for a reason. But Nintendo has kept us so content-starved with their service that when they finally added Earthbound, it was like a gift from the heavens. I'm sorry, but the drip feed we've gotten so far hasn't been appealing or even good. It's inconsistent and we don't even know when to expect new games. It also doesn't help that a few major games are still missing. Third-party games like Chrono Trigger notwithstanding, we're missing the mysterious Murasame Castle, which was localized for the first time on the 3DS, and Super Mario RPG. Not to mention the original Fire Emblem game, which was translated and released for a total of 5 minutes before Nintendo ripped the toy out of our hands. I don't think these titles are so huge that Nintendo is saving them for a rainy day, or rather, they shouldn't be saving them for a rainy day. Why is Nintendo even worried about rainy days? Does it have something to do with the tiny selection of consoles on the service that they barely have anything left to add? I mean, I have a solution for this, but we'll come back to it at the end of the video. I'm not gonna lie, I was super relieved when they added Nintendo 64 to the Nintendo Switch Online. Not only because there are some N64 games I've always wanted to play, but also because I was worried Nintendo was going to leave the NSO to die. We'd be stuck with NES and Super Nintendo forever. And I'm not entirely unconvinced that this wasn't their plan. Starve us until we beg for literally anything. And so far, there are lots of great N64 titles on the service, but We're only about halfway through the first-party library, and they're giving us one game each month, randomly announced. It's better, but still not great. The N64 will run out of new games quickly, because it's so small. So if they added more than one game per month, they'd run out sooner. Some major games we're still missing: Mario Party 1, 2, 3, Super Smash Bros., Banjo-Tooie, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, Hey You Pikachu, Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong 64, Pilot Wings 64, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, and Conker's Bad Fur Day. And we can debate for hours about rights and technical logistics, but the fact of the matter is, that would only reduce the list of games Nintendo could add. Those would now be Mario Party 1, 2, 3, Super Smash Bros., Donkey Kong 64, and Pilot Wings 64. That's only 6 games. Either way, the N64's library is very limited, even with the 14 games that fans still want to see. Okay, Game Boy games have to be coming at some point. It was leaked that Nintendo has emulators ready to go. I'm sure they're holding off because they want it to be some big reveal where we thank them for being so gracious as to offer us a handful of old games. But the truth is, the OG Game Boy and the Color have over a decade of games that should be on Nintendo's Game Pass. The Mario and Wario Land games, Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3, Pokemon Gens 1 and 2, Kirby's Dream Land 1 and 2, Link's Awakening and DX, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Metroid 2, Kid Icarus 2, Yoshi, Alleyway, Tennis, Golf, Baseball, Solar Striker, F1 Race, and Radar Mission. There's also Pokemon spin-offs like Pinball, Puzzle Challenge, and the trading card game. That's 32 games, not even counting third-party games that might come along too, like Tetris. So let's start taking a tally. On the NES, we're missing 2 games, on the Super Nintendo, another game. On the N64, 14 games, and on the Game Boy, 33 games. That's a staggering 50 games. Plus, there's tons of other potential third-party titles, so that number could easily be around 75. The Game Boy Advance is one of those platforms that everyone has been begging for. Technically, Nintendo had these games running on both of its previous consoles, the Wii U and the 3DS. Unfortunately, the 3DS titles were only available to the 20 people that bought a launch day 3DS, and they never made them available for purchase to the other 75 million 3DS owners. Additionally, an emulator for this on Switch has leaked, just like the original Game Boy, which means Nintendo has no excuse for holding these back other than to dangle it like a carrot. But the reason people want it is because it has a really solid library of games. Super Mario Advance 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Zelda games including Minish Cap, Pokemon Gen 3, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Fusion, Golden Sun 1, Golden Sun 2, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, Mario Kart, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Party, Mario Pinball, Wario Land 4, 2 WarioWare games, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Fire Emblem, The Blazing Blade, Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Pinball, Ruby and Sapphire, and Advance Wars 1 and 2. Not including third-party games, that's a whopping 36 games, and that's 86 games total, but like I said before, probably closer to 120 with third parties, maybe more. Also, another opportunity for Nintendo to ignore Mother 3 in the West. Okay, GameCube is another console fans have been demanding. But why? Because it's the oldest console that has never been emulated on Virtual Console. People are hungry for it, which is understandable because it also has an amazing library of games. Super Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, 3 Zelda games, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Pokemon Colosseum, Pokemon XD, Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2, Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, Animal Crossing, Kirby Air Ride, Mario Kart Double Dash, Star Fox Adventures, Star Fox Assault, F-Zero GX, Mario Party 4, 5, 6, and 7, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Baseball, Mario Strikers, Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, Pokemon Channel, Wario World, WarioWare, Wave Race, Eternal Darkness, Dashin the Giant, 1080 Avalanche, Custom Robo, and Chibi Robo. Not including third parties or games that would be difficult to play, like Donkey Konga, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and DDR Mario Mix, there are 37 games on the GameCube that Nintendo could release whenever they want. And by whenever they want, I am referring to the official GameCube emulator that runs Super Mario Sunshine in the 3D All-Stars collection. So there's really nothing stopping Nintendo, unless they really want to go all out and add widescreen support to every title. This would be nice, but it's not necessary. Something I would definitely want, though, is Nintendo could allow us to use the GameCube controller adapter and original GameCube controllers to play these games. Also, what if Nintendo added proper online for Super Smash Bros. Melee? There's a small but dedicated group of fans that would go crazy for this. So, what's our current running total of first-party games that are missing from NSO? 123 games to be exact. It could be 150 or even 175 with third-party games. The DS is where it starts to get a little tricky. The Nintendo DS was available on Wii U through emulation, and I'm pretty sure the Switch is at least as powerful as the Wii U. So, from a technical standpoint, the Switch could likely emulate the DS. However, the Wii U had various setups to allow the dual screens to be used, because the Wii U could be played on two screens simultaneously. The Switch can only be either handheld or docked, which limits the playstyles. But the Switch has a touchscreen, so it's definitely possible, but it would be locked to handheld only. Better than nothing? Speaking of playstyles, for the Switch, the screen is big enough to have both DS screens be equal in size, side by side. And then there's the Flip Grip from Fangamer, a peripheral that allows the Switch to be played vertically, with both Joy-Cons and the touchscreen. This should give DS fans that old school stacked screen orientation that we're used to. Maybe Nintendo could even come out with their own version and sell it like they sell classic controllers on the online store. And then, the games. Lots of games. The DS had a nice catalog. Super Mario 64 DS, New Super Mario Bros., Zelda Phantom Hourglass, Zelda Spirit Tracks, 4 Kirby games, Pokemon Gens 4 and 5, Metroid Prime Hunters, Star Fox Command, DK Jungle Climber, 2 WarioWare games, Yoshi Touch and Go, Nintendogs, 2 Advance Wars games, Animal Crossing Wild World, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, Golden Sun Dark Dawn, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Hoops 3-on-3, 2 more Mario and Luigi games, Super Princess Peach, both Brain Age games, 4 Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, all 3 Pokemon Ranger games, Pokemon Dash, Pokemon Conquest, 2 Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, Custom Robo Arena, Chibi Robo Park Control, and Art Academy. And that's not even counting all the DSiWare. That's 57 games at least, and I'm certain I missed some. 180 games so far that could come to NSO, and including third-party titles, it could still be well over 250. The DS had a lot of games, and so did the next console. The Nintendo Wii. This one's a little tricky as well because even though there are a few Nintendo Wii games on the Switch, they range from emulation to straight-up remastered ports. So it's kind of possible to emulate these games, but even Super Mario Galaxy took a bit of work as it's partially a port and partially emulated. It's not perfect, to be fair. The gyro and IR sensor in the Joy-Cons aren't the same as the Wii, even though they function similarly. With no sensor bar, I found myself resetting the cursor a lot in Super Mario Galaxy. That said, if Nintendo could get these games to work, I would gladly deal with resetting the cursor just to play another catalog of amazing games. Games like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Wii Sports Resort, Wii Play, Wii Music, 3 Zelda games, Metroid Prime Trilogy, Metroid Other M, Animal Crossing City Folk, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Mario Kart Wii, Mario Party 8 and 9, Mario Strikers Charged, Mario Super Sluggers, Mario Sports Mix, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Kirby's Epic Yarn, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Pokemon Battle Revolution, both Pokepark games, WarioWare, Big Brain Academy, Battalion Wars 2, Excite Truck, Excite Bots, Punch Out, and Xenoblade Chronicles. And again, that doesn't include WiiWare games. That's at least 35 games we could see come to NSO, bringing the total to 215 games. And the Wii had tons of third-party support, so we could see an actual total of up to 300 new games on the service. The 3DS is an amazing handheld with an amazing library. It's also super unlikely to be included on NSO, even in a dream scenario. First off, it's too new. Even though the Wii U had DS games only a few years after the DS was all wrapped up, I can't see Nintendo doing this, especially since they occasionally port 3DS games to the Switch. But if the Switch could theoretically emulate 3DS content, which has only been attempted to moderate success by fans, It would function the same way the DS does. The only thing missing would be the actual 3D effect, which I've personally never enjoyed. Fans may differ on this, but basically every game is playable without the 3D effect. Even games that kind of need it, like Super Mario 3D Land, could let it go in favor of game preservation and future availability. As I said before, the 3DS also has a really robust library of games. It would be a shame not to bring them to NSO. We've got Super Mario 3D Land, New Super Mario Bros. 2, 4 Zelda games, Pokemon Gen 6 and 7, Kid Icarus Uprising, 3 Kirby games, Metroid Samus Returns, 2 Animal Crossing games, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, 3 Fire Emblem games, Super Smash Bros., WarioWare Gold, Paper Mario Sticker Star, Yoshi's New Island, 2 new Mario & Luigi games, 2 Mario & Luigi remakes, 3 Mario Party games, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Pokemon Rumble Blast, 2 Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, Detective Pikachu, Pilot Wings Resort, Steel Diver, 2 new Art Academy games, a new Brain Age, Metroid Prime Federation Force, Chibi Robo Ziplash, Hey Pikmin, Codename Steam, and Ever Oasis, plus dozens upon dozens of great eShop-only games and DLC they could include too. That's another 52 games, making a grand total of 267 games. With third-party games, DSiWare, WiiWare, and eShop titles, it could be as many as 400 games. The Nintendo Wii U will definitely not be part of the NSO. Most games that were stuck on the console have been ported to Switch, and they were improved at that. And aside from a few titles left, such as Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, everything else is locked on there due to required gamepad functionality. I'm thinking of games like Nintendo Land, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Then there's Switch games. You're probably thinking, wow Zoe, 400 games from classic consoles is a lot. Do we need more? If Nintendo truly wanted a Game Pass competitor, what if they included all their Switch games too? I'd love to see games on there as they release, but even older games like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey would be very welcome. Personally, I doubt they'll ever add Switch games, but if they did, and they should, we could see at least another 50 games. More if some third-party games were included. So let's add another 100 games to that count of 400, bringing it to a nice 500. Sounds amazing, right? We're not done yet. Okay, so Nintendo has already added a handful of DLC to NSO's expansion pack. Why stop there? Why not make every single DLC available as part of the Nintendo Switch Online? Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Fire Emblem, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Luigi's Mansion 3. It's not a super long list, but I'd love to see Nintendo add all of this. 10 consoles, 500 games, various DLC. A library with almost everything from Nintendo would make Game Pass look a little pathetic, don't you think? We're still not done. If Nintendo really wanted to go crazy, I think it's time they finally give us their Satellaview content. That's right, I said Satellaview. For those who don't know, the Satellaview was a peripheral add-on for the Super Famicom in Japan. Basically, it allowed you to download games over broadcast satellite, or BS for short. Because of the limited time nature of the games, they are no longer accessible to the vast majority of Nintendo's audience. Including Satellaview games is an especially good idea for padding out the Super Nintendo library, which Nintendo is still milking. For the international market, a lot of this content would have to be localized. While I'm sure it would be costly, I would also argue it's worth it, if only for giving international players a chance to experience these rare games. And there's tons of first-party titles from iconic franchises, like BS Super Mario Collection, BS Super Mario USA Power Challenge, Excitebike Buzz Mario Battle Stadium, Mario Paint BS version, 4 BS Zelda games, F-Zero Grand Prix 2, BS Fire Emblem, a fishing game by Shigesato Itoi and Sute Hakun, an original Nintendo IP that's exclusive to the service. That's another 12 games at minimum. I couldn't be bothered going through the entire list, plus there's lots of third-party content, 99% of which has been lost to time. Let's assume a conservative 20 games total out of the Satellaview library's 200 offerings. So that's 10 consoles, 1 add-on, 520 games, and a bunch of DLC. Okay, now we're done. Unless we want to include Virtual Boy? Okay, no, I'm kidding. Nobody wants that. Unless? No, I'm definitely kidding. There's obviously some issues here. many of which I already mentioned. Then there's Pokemon, which is a whole other beast. All of the Pokemon games would need some sort of external support for transferring Pokemon. When they added Red and Blue to the 3DS Virtual Console, they modified the ROMs to allow transferring Pokemon into Pokemon Bank. Any Pokemon games added to the service would need such support for Pokemon Bank's successor, Pokemon Home. Because of this, I don't know if the Pokemon Company would want these games included in a subscription service, especially when the work required might make selling them individually a better return on investment. The other issue is that Nintendo would never do any of this. It would be way too good to be true. I'd personally be happy if all of these theoretical 500 games could be purchased individually, but Nintendo has clearly moved away from the Virtual Console model. So it's either a Nintendo version of Netflix or nothing at all. And Nintendo, well, they've chosen almost nothing at all. Earlier in the video, I mentioned a solution, something that I think would strike a balance with Nintendo's desire to drip feed games and the fans' desire for more classic games. I personally think that on the first of every month, Nintendo should add a few games from each console onto NSO. It would be consistent and steady, but still a drip feed that allows Nintendo to highlight and showcase specific titles without things being lost in the shuffle. Imagine, on the first of the month, you open up NSO to see one new NES game, one new Super Nintendo game, one new N64 game, 2 new Game Boy games, 2 new GBA games, 2 GameCube games, 2 new DS games, 2 new Wii games, and 2 new 3DS games. Maybe some months would have more or less from each console, but it would be steady, keeping people interested and subscribed as they wait for new content. No more, maybe we'll give you a new SNES game this month, but only if you're really good bull from Nintendo. And yeah, it's entirely possible there won't be much third-party content. What we do get might just be shovelware and licensed content, but there's no way to know unless they try. I'd also love to see online multiplayer added to any title that'll support it. I know they added it to Mario Kart 64 and F-Zero X, so maybe GameCube and Game Boy games can have it too. DS, Wii, and 3DS titles already had it, so maybe it can somehow be reinstated for those titles. And this is the biggest thing I want to see. No more expansion packs. I think Nintendo should rebrand the service with a new, non-Switch related name. Bundle everything into one subscription price and let that service carry forward on all future Nintendo platforms. Even renaming it Nintendo Online or Nintendo Plus would be fine, as long as it means consistency for the future. I don't want to see the Switch 2 or whatever Nintendo's next console is restart from scratch just like every virtual console did. If I buy a new system, my subscription can be moved to that system and I can play all the classic titles that I had access to before. I'd even be fine with a price increase to get access to all of this content. Game Pass is a pricey subscription that adds up quickly and people love it. Nintendo could do the same thing and people would complain like we always do, and then we'd buy it anyway. But at least this time, it would be absolutely worth it. The only reason people would have to complain is if it costs more than Game Pass. Then people will be comparing the prices and saying Game Pass has the better value, but really who cares? So, what do you think of all this? Do I sound crazy? Am I reaching too high? Or does this sound like a realistic goal Nintendo could accomplish if they wanted? There's so many classic Nintendo games I can't play anymore. I'd love to have all of them on my Switch, and more. How about you? Is there a game in Nintendo's history you're dying to have on your Switch? Drop a comment down below, and I'll see you all next time.